Well, hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to do some more punch needle, and this is the finishing video that I told you about in my Let's Get Started video for the punch needle along. And so as promised, I finished this with the chamomile all the way around the bird. This is the bird that I'm doing in my summer punch needle pattern. Okay. And so I finished punching it, and then I left it in the hoop because I wanted to show you exactly what I do. So what I do is, you know, with traditional punch needle, you just take it off the hoop, you press it from the back and, you know, all that stuff, and you can still do that. That's great. You don't have to press it from the back, but you can, especially, you know, that's kind of traditional if you're doing like DMC where it's just very fine. But with the chunky thread, you know, you may not have to do that. But I want to show you what I do. Is I like a little bit of more insurance. Okay, so this is what this looks like when it's punched. I guess I should probably show you that. And after I take it off the hoop, I can, you know, do a few things to here, like, you know, fix any maybe like loose ends or something that, you know, maybe isn't lining up. We'll talk about that later. But back to the insurance. Since I took all the time to punch this and everything, I like to secure the back. And how I do that is I just grab some Mod Podge. Okay? I've used Mod Podge for years, for many projects, for my paper crafting, for all kinds of things. And so it's something that I have in my studio at all times. And so when I started punch needling, I decided that this would be the perfect thing to just simply take a brush. This is water-based, and I just, while it's on the hoop, I just brush it on here. Okay, all over. And what that is doing is setting in the stitches. It's just a nice coat, thin coat. It doesn't, you don't have to worry about it seeping in through the front. You can't see it, you can't feel it. It doesn't go in through the front. And what that is doing is just kind of like setting the stitches and making it nice and flat at the same time, which is what pressing does, right? So because I'm still have my fabric tight on the hoop, because, you know, you have to have it tight in order to keep your loops in and to, you know, to do the punch needle. That's why I like to use these Morgan hoops, so that you can get it nice and drum tight. So all I do is I just simply brush one coat over this and let it dry overnight. That's the first thing I do after. Now, when I've got these tails here, I typically will just make those lie down. Okay, that one's sticking up a little bit, but that doesn't matter. It's not going to come out. It's still got some Mod Podge on it. You know, that just ensures, like, if you put this on a pillow that you're going to keep on your sofa or something like that, that just ensures that something wouldn't catch on it and maybe pull it out, because you've seen that it's just the tension that holds in these stitches. And so, you know, what if you have like you know, I have pets. What if you have, you know, one of their little claws, or I have grandkids, or I have, you know, just anything could get caught on it. One of my jewelry, what if anything just got caught on it? I would not want that to happen and start pulling it out. And so what I do, set it from the back with Mod Podge, and I just let it dry overnight. Okay, so you can get Mod Podge at any craft store, and online also is readily available, and it's not expensive, and it goes a long way. And so the next step is just taking this off the hoop. That's all I do. And of course, because I had to use the needle nose to get it on there, then I always keep that in my kit so that I can use that to take it off as well. So I can just loosen that up enough so that I can get that top one off that's got the ridges. Should have loosened it more. That's a good thing, right? But we've got those ridges to keep that. Okay, so taking that off, set that aside. And that's what this looks like on the front. Now that you can get to it a little bit easier, you can take your scissors and say, okay, I can see something sticking up a little bit, or maybe a little bit more texture. Maybe your needle went into one of the stitches from the other side a little bit and kind of pushed it out, pushed something out. You'll know what I mean. And so what I do is I just take some scissors. It doesn't matter if you just trim off those loops. You know, it just kind of sinks within there. So anything that I see like maybe sticking above, I'll just take my scissors like this and make sure that I do it sideways so that I'm not clipping into anything else. And you can just go ahead and clip that height off. Now you don't have to be, you know, that particular, but I'm just showing you that you can do that. So that's what I do at this point, okay? And again, sideways. Don't, you know, poke into your work like that. And then the next thing I do, I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac glue. Okay, you can just get it in any craft store, whatever. It's to glue fabric. Okay, I put this in my little stand to keep it upside down so that it comes, you know, to the front easily. And then let's see, I've talked to you about that you can, if you want to, you know, use some chopsticks or a toothpick or whatever to move, kind of shift your loops if there's something in an area that you don't want it to be. Does that make sense? Like, especially when, I'm going to trim that little green one. I can see I missed that. I'm going to lift this up so I can do it sideways. There we go. And I can see like a little green one right here that goes in behind the chamomile. I should have grabbed my toothpick, but I'm just carefully using the tip of my scissors, which I don't know if I really recommend that, but that's what I'm doing. And pushing that chamomile, kind of trading places with those two till that looks better to me. Okay, so then the next thing I do is take a nice pair of sharp scissors and for fabric, and I just cut around it by about 1 inch. Okay, and I don't, you know, worry about measuring or anything because I'm just going to glue this. Let me try to keep in camera so you can see what I'm doing. I thought this was a good project to finish up this morning, so of course I wanted to turn on the camera and show you my process and just how easy it is about what you do with your project after you take it off of the hoop. All right, so I've just got that trimmed. Okay, and then what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take the Fabri-Tac and I'm simply going to glue the edges over. Okay, so hopefully this will come out all right since I had it on the stand. It's kind of a thicker glue. I'm just going to go around like maybe half of it. I can always add more. But what I'm doing is, it doesn't matter to me what the back looks like. I just want it to lie, you know, flat when I adhere it to my board. So all I'm doing is just, it's going to kind of gather in a little bit, and that's okay. It's totally fine. It doesn't dry super duper fast to where you would have to do the whole thing. You can do a little bit at a time, but I'm just kind of showing you. And it does have a smell to it, which I don't really enjoy, but it works good. You can use a glue gun too. I've often used a glue gun as well, and that's not a problem. I'm just going to kind of keep pushing this down. I might like lay these scissors here just to kind of keep it down while I do the other. But you can see this is starting to dry here. And then just want to make sure I get enough. Okay. That also goes a long way. Those bottles, you can get that in the Fabri-Tac in a smaller size. Right there in that, let's see, that's a 2-ounce bottle, but you can get it in, I think, like a 6-ounce or an 8-ounce bottle too. But I typically buy the smaller bottles just because they're easier for my hands to hold and handle. And so what I'm doing is I just want that to stay down, and then I'll show you, I'm pulling that all the way back, and can you see that you can see kind of the yarn loops on the edge there? That's what you want. You're trying to just hide your fabric backing. You know, and this step also protects it as well. Now when that's drying, typically I'll put like, I'll just grab here, let me just grab this right here. Like one of my design boards, I'll put it down just to keep it flat and put like a book on top or something like that, just for a little bit of weight, and let that dry for a little bit. Just something flat that it doesn't matter if you got glue on the back or something like that. I don't think I would put a book straight on top of it or anything like that in case some of the glue was out. All right, so that's what that looks like from the front. Now remember, when I traced on this pattern, see how it's facing the other way? I traced it on just how it, you know, because I traced it on just how it came in here. But if you want your bird facing the other way, then all you do is just simply trace, flip the pattern over on your light box and trace it the other way. But it did not matter to me which way it faced. Because remember, you trace on and your pattern, you're punching from the back, and then the front side, you know, is going to end up being reversed. Okay, so that's what that looks like. All right, I'm going to set that there for a minute and then show you my board. So remember, I showed you last time that this is my 8x12 vintage wooden board. Okay, this is how it comes packaged, and you can make something fit on the inside of this ledge here, but the outside measures 9x12, and I'm just going to mount this on here. And what I did was I took one and I painted it, okay, with chalk paint. Just left the back how it was. This is what this is going to look like. And I'm simply going to glue it on there. And I love how that looks. Now you could put lace around here. You could put rickrack trim, you know, some of my vintage trim. That would look awesome on there, the large size going around. But this one, I am just going to, I think, you know, do that plain like that. And then it can be a wall hanging. I also like that you don't have to have a little hanger because there's a little ledge there. And so you could just hang that off of the nail, or you can put this on an easel, you know, to display. And so I would just simply use a glue gun to mount this on. Okay. And that's all I'm going to do. And then it'll be finished. So I'll finish that up and then take a picture of it so that I can show you, you know, like for the thumbnail picture in this video and the slideshow and things like that as soon as I'm finished. But I just wanted to show you that's how easy that is to just glue it onto a surface, whether it's a board or, you know, I'll show you a few other examples. But let's talk about painting. So I just painted this with chalk paint. I just picked a color that I had. I had used this color, this is Cottage Feel. I had used this color of chalk paint. This is the Magnolia chalk paint. Okay. I'm going to get it in my favorite hardware store, which is Ace Hardware. Okay, this is what it looks like. And so I just brushed that on there, just one coat. I could sand the edges or whatever, but I didn't. I liked just how it looked like that. And then chalk paint, if you're familiar with chalk paint, you need to put a wax over it. And this is what I use for the crystal clear wax. Okay. And I just put a thin coat of wax over it after it dried, you know, a couple hours, whatever. It was plenty dry by then. So I waxed it and just rubbed it on with a cloth. And then there we go. You can get dark wax, which I do have dark wax if you wanted to antique it a little bit. But I like how it looks just like that. This is a summer pattern. I don't know. I just didn't want it to, I think it looks vintagey enough. I think it's really cute. But the wax would be, the darker wax would be cute as well. Okay, so that's how I'm going to finish that one. So let me show you a few examples of what I was talking about that you could finish another way that it doesn't have to be on a wood board. This is, let me get that little string off. This is something that I did a while ago, and I had bought this plate at Hobby Lobby, and it was just a single plate, and I thought, how cute would it be? I was looking for something round, smaller and round, and then I just picked up a doily because I felt like the pumpkin was a little too small for the plate, and so I just picked up a doily and glued them and layered them like that, and it looks really cute on an easel. This is a pattern that I drew up and gave to my students at Garden of Quilts in the punch needle class last year, and I'll be teaching that again in a couple of weeks, and so I'm excited about that. So if any of you out there are going to be coming to my class, hi and howdy, hi and hugs, all that stuff. And then sorry, I'm stepping away from the camera to pulling all of this stuff in. Speaking of the Garden of Quilts class, I wanted to show you, this is something that we did for the class last year. And I'm making Christmas ornaments. I bought these as well at that same shopping trip that I went last year to Hobby Lobby looking for things to mount punch needle on. Of course, this was before my wood boards came out, and so I was waiting for them to be developed, and I wanted to find some unique things. So I found this star. They come in a package of 4, and what I did is I just drew 1/4 of an inch in from the star and then joined the lines like this and came up with that little pattern, you know, the same shape as the star. So I punched the star, and I'm doing a bunch of these for Christmas tree ornaments. There was 4 in a package, and I bought several packages. I believe they still have them this year at Hobby Lobby. I think I saw them. So anyway, so I just punched those, and then I finished these in the exact same way that I just showed you, you know, when I did my other one. Sometimes I put my little point protectors on that I have for my scissors on the end of these if I think that maybe my yarn might snag on it. So that's a little tip. So I had already put Mod Podge on this, and I wanted to show you this because sometimes when you're doing punch needle, you have to clip, just like when you're doing applique, you have to clip if there's little inner curve or a cleavage area. Okay. So on this star, I wanted to show you on any of these patterns that you have of mine, if there's a cleavage area, meaning an area that goes in like that, that's what it's called in applique, or an inner curve, that when you go to cut this out, I want to be careful with this, not cut off my points of my punching. That would be very sad. Then I'm going to show you that once you cut around this, I'm still going to, you know, use the glue, and I won't, you know, I won't take the time to glue around it because you just saw me do it on the oval on my bird. But I wanted to show you, I just cut around that, okay? And then I'll take these scissors, and you'll need to make 1 clip, not into your punch, not into your yarn or anything like that, but you're just making 1 clip in towards that cloth right there, okay? And so the reason that you do that is, I want to make sure I'm not getting that. I kind of felt like, okay, didn't get it. But if I did accidentally clip that, remember it's Mod Podged on the back. So what you're doing is you're just making it so that you can fold it all the way under. With that clip, you can fold it all the way under. And then I just simply glue there, and then just pull that down and glue it like that. Okay, so then that doesn't show. This is what it looks like on the sides. You can see a little bit of that cloth if you're really looking close. And then I just glued it on there, okay? I can't wait to make a bunch more of these. I'm gonna make a dozen of these to hang on my Christmas tree, but they make cute little ornaments just to hang off of a cabinet knob or anything like that if you just wanted to make 1 or 2. But I also just added a little covered button in the middle, and I just glued that on. So I chose this one for here. You know, I still have to do my little trimming and clipping of that and everything, but I chose a denim one. Now, if you remember when I did this tutorial on my covered buttons here, I do all different sizes of covered buttons, but I typically use the larger size for my crocheted flowers, which I've showed you. You know, I've shown you my crocheted flowers a lot of times. I need to crochet some more. I'm getting low, you know, after I did that giveaway, and I never really did any more, but this is what I put on my bags. But I like to take my crochet flowers and use one of these for the center. They have a shank there, and I put them on my project bags a lot and other things, and that's really fun. So it's always fun for me to be able to use my covered buttons because I've always loved covered buttons, always wanted to do those. And I typically do my fabrics. You know, when I get a new fabric collection, then I'll just make sure that I cover at least one button with each print and add to my jar for projects. And I've been using my gingham ones for this. And so that's what I did for that. So I'll be finishing that one up. And then I'll have 4. And then I'll start punching away. These do not take long at all, and they're a fun little project. So yeah, if you want to learn how to make my flowers, it's here on my channel. I did that tutorial at the same time that Cassidy did the tutorial on how to do her keychains using the chunky thread. So I'll show you one of those in a minute because I've got that on another bag. But I wanted to show you something else. So this one I did last year, and I finished on this square wood, the prototype that I had for my 9x9 vintage wooden board. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And what I did with that is I could have left it white if I wanted to, but I was trying to experiment to see different things that I could do. And so what I did, you can see that this is the original color, and then I kind of darkened it by using this aged glaze. Okay, this is Rust-Oleum chalked decorative glaze. So this is something that you could do instead of dark wax if you didn't need to put wax on something. You know, you don't need to put wax on these boards that are already painted and finished and done. But I just kind of wanted to make it a little bit darker. So you can keep the boards the same color. You can paint them. You can, you know, glaze them. That's what that looks like. Okay. And so I just wanted to show you that one. And, you know, there's so many different things that you can do with these. Like when I was mentioning a pillow, like you wouldn't have to put this on a wood board. You could buy a pillow already done, you know, which is what I do a lot. I buy pillows when they're on sale in the colors that match my yarns that I really like and in the sizes, and then I crochet over them and make things over the pillows, you know, like my granny square pillows and things. But this would be really nice to adhere just to a pillow, and you would just use Fabri-Tac, again, fabric glue, to adhere to that pillow. And it'd be really nice if you have one of those little rectangle pillows. That'd be really fun. So, you know, I hope you get creative with your finishing of your punch needle. And I want to show you a new project that I started. Let me pull these in. Okay, so this is, I just started this one. This one is from my autumn pattern, and I'm doing this one right here. Okay, these 4 are the same size, and I really want to do all 4 of them. But, oh, this is Cassidy's keychain that I was telling you about. Okay, so she did the little tutorial the same time that I did my flower tutorial. So I'll link that again. And in the description. So please take advantage, once again, of the description underneath the video. You need to click on it to read the whole thing. There's all kinds of links in there and everything. I've had several of you ask me about if you could see my chunky thread, all 40 colors all together, if you know, if there was a place that had the name of all of them together, and yes, there is. I've linked it in the videos that I do, and there's 40 colors, and there's a chart that shows you the 40 colors and what that looks like. And let me see if I've got one right here. I might have one in my bag, I don't know. I don't have one with me, but there's the link to it, and you can just download that so that you have it. One of the things that I do is when I got all of my new colors, I put them on these clothespins right here, and then I just put the name of it. Okay, so I'm going to go through real quick. I'll talk to you about this in a minute, but I'm going to go through real quick and show you all of the colors just so that you know visually what they look like and their names, even though I mention the colors that I'm using all the time. I have 40 colors right now, and by the end of the year, I'll have 48, and then I'll show you those in my other crochet videos and things like that. But I just take this, and I take my Pigma pen, the same pen that I use. I wonder if I've got it in here. Yes, I do. The same pen that I use to trace on my patterns that I've shown you. And I just write on here. So here's frosting. Here's vivid. Here's butterscotch. Riley gray. Thyme. Beehive. Leaf. Riley red. Tea rose. Sweet mint. That's kind of covered. The mint's covered, but I know that's called sweet mint. And this is lagoon. Steel. Schoolhouse. Breezy. Peacock. Riley aqua. This is wheat. Spring green. Honey. Plum. Songbird. Jade. Raisin. Denim. Raindrop. Peony. Basil. Nutmeg. Cloud. Pebble. Cayenne. Terracotta. Brick. This is Riley green. Taffy. Pumpkin. Chamomile. Autumn. Lipstick. And linen. Okay, so that's all 40 colors. I just wind it around these round clothespins, label them, put a bow on the end with a knot so that it doesn't come off, and then I just keep this bowl handy. And that I have like little mini skeins. I never use these. These are for, you know, color matching when I'm deciding what I want to do. Like, okay, I'm maybe designing a pattern or deciding what punch needle colors I want to use, and so I can like gather all my blues together and, you know, see what I want to do that way, and they're labeled. So go ahead and download that chart. You may want to just make your own little samplings on these clothespins like I do, and it comes in very handy. Okay, so that's my advice on that. All right, so this is what I've punched so far. Okay, I just started with the raindrop, this one that I showed you here, and then I did the lagoon, which is a little bit darker. And then these are the colors. I just have this round turntable thing. So I just started with the center, but you don't have to do that again. Just like I showed you again, you can start with anything. And these are the colors that I'll be using. And this is what this looks like on the other side so far. Right now it looks like a little flower. But once I punch that linen in between, then that will separate those dots a little bit. I also, because this is have a little bit smaller design, I thought that I would test this out and use the number 4 on my needle. Okay, a little bit, just to make it a little shorter loops, just to see what that looks like. And although I typically love the 5, I don't know, I just thought I would try that. And then I thought that I would just punch just a little bit and talk about, you know, what I've shown you before. So I just go straight down in. I do not do my stitches too close together. Remember, the chunky thread has a thickness of its own, and so you just don't need to punch too close together. I like to have, you know, that I can see cloth in between a bit. I'm going straight down. I'm turning and punching towards me or away to the left a little bit. I always have the eye towards me so I can see, because, and then the tail goes behind. And it's very important to have your cloth tight, because that's what allows the tension to hold the loops in. If your cloth is too loose, you may not be able to hold that tension in. You want to punch all the way down that shank of your needle all the way to the tip of that, so that all your loops are the same size out front. And you don't want to have any drag on your yarn. That's my biggest advice. And I know I told you that last time too, but whenever you have some drag on your yarn, it's going to, you know, mess up with the tension that you're trying to put into this cloth. So before I start a few stitches, I always just pull on my yarn, make sure it's just like sitting where I can see it and it's not caught on anything. Okay, and then that's what that's starting to look like right there. Okay, and I'm just outlining. I did zigzag these edges right here. I noticed with my last one that I was doing that because I was turning it so much on that big one, and also it was bigger. This is maybe a little bit easier to handle because it's a little bit smaller hoop. Then I didn't want my threads to fray and get into my yarn, so I did zigzag the edges, and usually what I do when I cross stitch. And so I think that's all I have to say about finishing. I will continue. I'll show you this when I have this finished, and then I'll show you my next project that I've got started, and or I'll show you, you know, when I finish this, and if I kept the square wood the same color, or if I decided to paint it or stain it, or, you know, distress the edges or use vintage trim or around the edges or whatever. We'll just continue on, and whenever I finish a project, then I'll show you, you know, how I did it and give you ideas. I'd love to see your ideas. I've loved seeing your photos on Instagram of your punch needle in progress. And I hope that now I've done these 2 videos, the getting started, and then, you know, waited the space in between to give you guys time to finish yours up, and then showing you how I finish it, that this will really, you know, get your creative juices flowing and wanting to do punch needle. It really is so very simple. I mean, it's just something that anyone can do. And I think it's really fun. And so I'm going to continue doing them. I've got 2 more patterns coming out. I've got the summer, obviously, and you know, my autumn pattern coming out. But then I've got spring and winter coming, and then I'll be designing more as well. And just using my style and my designs and putting them into patterns, because you really can just punch needle anything, and it's just so fun. All right, so I'm going to let you go, and I hope you guys are all doing well and having a wonderful day, and I hope you're having fun with your punch needle, and I will chat with you later.